Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Fins Faithful podcast. We are currently live on X and on YouTube, guys. Please don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so we can help support the channel and it can continue to bring you all this great Dolphin content. Like we have today, a friend of the program, his second time appearing on the program, Bobby Finstock from the Finstock Sports Network. Bobby, are you feeling better than yesterday, brother?
No, no, minus getting whatever sleep I could. I'm not feeling better. I'm letting my intrusive thoughts take over in regards of how I want to, hope this team to blow this all up and let's fire everybody and do all this and draft somebody new and do all this. But just little by little, reeling myself back. But I'm doing well. Other than that,
Uh, Thanks for coming on short notice. Of course, we were expecting Richmond Webb to be on the show today. Richmond had a family emergency, so we're currently working out when he's going to be on. It should be soon, looking like maybe next Monday, but I'll tweet out the date when it's all finalized. But thanks again, Bobby, for coming on short notice here.
absolutely, man. No, Richmond's a great dude, and hopefully you could get him on soon because he's an awesome guy. Obviously, we want him to be in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest of all time for the Miami Dolphins, and a Hall of Fame player for sure. Hopefully soon, Hall of Fame human being.
Yeah, and also the support he has from the community is tremendous. A lot like what happened with Zach Thomas, the Dolphins community is behind him, and hopefully he gets in. Who's just recently named one of the finalists on that list of players. So good luck to Richmond. Hope we get him on soon, and hope everything's working out with his family and everything gets better there. Okay, now let's talk about that. As the headline says, Sleepless in Seattle yesterday. Man, I'm trying to figure out what the game plan was. The quarterback play wasn't good. Play calling wasn't good. Offensive line wasn't good. Now, I thought the defense settled down in the second quarter there. They settled down. And I'm not putting this one on the defense. Bobby, help me explain this. What happened yesterday in Seattle?
Man, a whole lot of nothing. Really, you say Sleepless in Seattle there in the header, which is awesome. I'd say lost in Seattle. The team is lost. It's like a headless chicken. It feels like offense, especially, is like asleep at the wheel. I don't know how many puns we could add to what's going on in Miami right now. The bright side. Let me start off with the bright side, or the silver lining. And I know a lot of Dolphin fans are angry, and there's no real silver lining. I get all that. The first silver lining is it's only week 3. We just started this season. There's teams that started worse and ended great. And I know there's a lot of issues with this football team that we're going to discuss, and rightfully so, and issues that Dolphin fans have discussed all offseason last year that are still present to today. And that's why all the finger pointing going on from last night into today is warranted. From Chris Grier to Coach McDaniel to all of them, it's all warranted. But it is just the start of the season. There are some players out, even though to me that's not an excuse, but I can understand people using that. The other silver lining especially for yesterday was the defense. Miami's defense, I was very happy with. Zach Sealer was my only stud, but there was no quit in them. They were bending, trying to hold it, trying to keep it from getting out of hand. But every time they were able to get the Dolphins offense into prime position to score, Miami's offense couldn't do it. And, to get off the silver lining, that right there's silver lining. That could help Miami going forward. That could help Miami against Tennessee, is that defense. This has to be a defensive game. This has to be a defensive team until they figure the hell out how to adjust and get you end up using how we could use the offensive firepower. I was reading yesterday, if Tua was in the game, this would be different. We have Skylar Thompson. Look, Coach McDaniel decided Skylar Thompson was the right guy for the QB2 job. They sold us, just like they tried to sell us on the offensive line. They tried to sell us that Skylar Thompson was the right man for this job to be the backup. That if and when, not if, more when Tua did go down, Skylar could get us to win some games. Yesterday proved he can't do it. I was rooting for him. I wrote the sky's the limit. That's my show because I believed, hey, 10 days to practice with the first stringers, 2 years under the same coach, Mike McDaniel, saying nobody else could really run. You can't just walk in and do this offense. He was truly a chicken without a head yesterday. It was sad. So, I don't, a lot of people are saying, oh, if Tua was in the game, I don't hear any more about Tua. All due respect to Tua, and we know how good and great he can be. Dolphins weren't winning that game yesterday with Tua. They were just as lost with him the week before he got injured.
Yeah, the targets, everybody was talking about the targets. Oh, we got to get, Waddle and Hill more targets, but it was the same thing last week against Buffalo. and to back off your point about Skylar, I mean, did it take till now to realize that he wasn't capable of filling in? I mean, I didn't. I mean, I know you said you had faith in Skylar. I had zero based on what I've seen, the past couple of preseasons. I know it's hard to judge just on preseason, but that kind of gets to a bigger point here if we pull the lens, out 10,000 feet and kind of, look at the bigger picture here. I thought this game exposed two guys in particular, right? Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier. And I know everybody's hopping on the train, but Chris Greer's a guy for me personally. I know Bobby, I have not been a huge fan of even before all this.
Yep.
Two things he came in the offseason. Offensive line, what was the quote? We have enough, right? And they say that because of Tua, his ability as the quarterback. But again, another point, you're relying on a guy who you have to expect to get injured. Like, are we surprised he had another concussion? I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the backup quarterback, a guy who doesn't have your backup quarterback. If you're going to be that dependent on this system protecting you, you need a quarterback with at least a similar skill set. You're obviously not going to be as good as Tua Tagovailoa because I don't think there's anybody on this planet that can run this offense like Tua, okay, to his credit. But Skylar Thompson is more of a gunslinger, kind of take chances kind of guy. He has no pocket presence, doesn't get the ball out quick. I mean, these are all things that I think lead you to believe why when Tua's out of the game, they look like a team that's picking the top 5 of the draft, Bobby.
That's crazy, considering what they were trying to sell us on, and even the hype with the fans, and rightfully so, with the talent that's on this football team. In regard, you got the top player in football, and Tyreek Hill voted on by his peers. You got Jalen Ramsey, Jalen Waddle, 1B as a receiver here with 1A of Tyreek Hill. Tua, many people considered an MVP candidate. Coach McDaniel, many people were selling that he was a top 5 coach, one offensive genius, blah, blah, blah. It's sad to say that it's not wrong though, that Miami could be a top 5 team in the draft, even though it's only week 3. That's what's crazy. And, a lot of people say, oh, Chris Grier. Look, I full disclosure, I remember last year, that seems to be a lot of my co-host on the post-game pregame show. That's one of his favorite things. Oh, apologize. I want an apology for this, and you need to apologize for that. Remember what you said. Again, is the job finished? That's what I said. I remember when the Dolphins were 8-3 last year. They said it the year before that too. Are you, Bobby? Are you ready to apologize to Chris Grier? Because I've been saying he should have been fired with Brian Flores. He should have been fired before Brian Flores. But for sure, I called for him and Flores to be fired before Flores got fired at the end of that year. And I will say that again. It's very easy to go out and spend a lot of money. When you got an owner who's with a pocketbook like that, who says, yeah, go ahead and spend it. Let's go ahead and adjust these contracts. Let's go get the biggest free agent out there. It's very easy to go do that. Grier is he acts like he's playing Madden. Goes and signs the sexy free agents, goes make the biggest trades. But when it comes time to filling out the roster, I mean, my goodness, laughing in the media and the Dolphin fans' faces saying, you guys are more concerned about the offensive line than we are. And when he's saying we, that's him and McDaniel. McDaniels wasn't worried about the offensive line too. That's why I say, Chris Grier should be gone a long time ago. Again, I won't hammer that home until the end of the season because I'm gonna let the season play out. And obviously if they lose to Tennessee, it could be played out pretty quick. But make sure you're pointing that blame. If you're pointing it at Chris Grier, make sure you're pointing it at McDaniel too, because he had as much, if not more, say with this offense, with this team, as Grier. Grier, he could have told Grier, "Hey man, don't sign Odell Beckham. Don't use that money in Odell. He's not going to be here for 6 weeks anyway. We'll try again in 6 weeks. Use that money on an offensive tackle or an offensive guard." He said, "No, Eichenberg's enough. No, Lester Cotton, Robert Jones, they're enough. Nah, this guy's enough. Oh, we could rely on Terron Armstead. He'll be okay." Now look, we're basically hanging on threads at wide receiver because our 2 star guys, and then you got no one else behind there. Because Odell, as much as we ever want to hype them up, he hasn't played a game. Barrios, what is he? Durham Smythe can't even catch a ball. I mean, my goodness, that was a touchdown. He couldn't even catch a ball. So it looks like you do have somebody pop in here.
We got a big guest on. We got a special guest joining us now.
Fix that up.
We are joined by the one and only from BarstoolSports.com. On short notice, thank you so much, Frank the Tank Fleming, for coming on, man. How you doing?
All right.
Oh, you
I have a tough time hearing you guys right now.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you guys.
Oh, you can't?
A very tough time. It's like I'm straining to hear you.
Let's see here.
Let's check and see the background. All right, let me pick up off
Let me see if this works. I can't hear at all.
At all?
That's all right. Is it the volume of the phone maybe?
I got my volume all the way up.
Gotcha. We'll try to speak. We'll try
to just tell us about, give us your thoughts on yesterday's game, if you can hear us, what you thought about that debacle.
Like it sounded, that won't even like pick up my earbud.
Say that again.
What's going on here? Hold on.
No worries, Frank. Go ahead, man. Take your time.
All right, now I can hear you a little bit better, but it's like very low.
Okay. All right, so just if you can hear me quickly, tell us about your thoughts on the Dolphins game yesterday, that debacle in Seattle.
All right, what was that?
Your thoughts on the game yesterday.
Total disaster. Skylar Thompson cannot play quarterback in the NFL. Skylar Thompson probably couldn't play quarterback in the UFL. He is a bum of the first order, and it just shows you, the absolute total inane incompetence of the Dolphins general manager.
Yeah, we were just talking about that
right
subject. Yeah, we were just talking about Chris Grier.
This guy laughed when anyone brought up the question, did the Dolphins need to improve their offensive line? You worried about the offensive line? I'm not. He let Hunt walk. He let Van Ginkel walk. He let Christian Walker walk. Christian Wilkins walk. He let we got Calais Campbell, who's 85 years old. Shaq Barrett fucking retired. And who do we have on the offensive line? Liam Eichenberg. I mean, we saw 2 years ago how bad Liam Eichenberg is. Now, last year he had a lesser role. Now he's back to full-time starting, and I've seen revolving doors that block better than Liam Eichenberg.
Yeah, and that game yesterday, it seems like we lose Skyler. Then we have Tim Boyle in, which isn't any better. What are your thoughts on McDaniel? I thought the play calling was bad.
I think Mike McDaniel is being exposed as the fraud.
I agree. I had that in the
offensive
headline.
Genius. You know what? Everyone says that he's got the most creative offense in the league. They're running to run and shoot. I don't know if you guys are too young to remember the run and shoot. The run and shoot became like this popular go-to offense in circa 1990. The Houston Oilers had big points where they had Warren Moon, Haywood Jeffries, Ernest Givens, and they were putting up the points big time in the late 80s with Jerry Glanville. And what they did was they they de-emphasized the tight end. They had no tight end. They would have 4 receivers full time. They would not play a tight end. The Dolphins have Dylan Smythe, and he's not a tight end. He's a receiver. He can't even catch. He can't even block. I mean, Dylan Smythe is probably the most useless player in the history of the NFL. He can't catch. And then, of course, was that his ass that we had to watch yesterday? Because he fucking, I mean, Dylan Smythe is ass, and he showed his ass.
Actually, oh, dude, I saw that yesterday. I don't know how many times I blocked that picture. My kid walked by. I went, oh, wait. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, no, you're not kidding, man. I don't know what happened with Durham Smythe. He left his hands, last season somewhere. Couldn't catch a ball last week. Couldn't catch a ball yesterday. That was with all the crap.
I mean, Boyle threw a good pass to him. He just dropped it.
Yeah, the pass was perfect, right where it needed to be. But he just dropped it in the end zone. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, but why is Smythe in that position? Do we really think Durham?
But you know what happened to the run and shoot offense? You know what eventually happened to it?
What was that?
What happened?
Teams figured out that if you put the safeties back, the run and shoot was not effective. So they did the safeties back, and what do you know? Yeah, and Mike McDaniel hasn't figured out how to adjust because he can't adjust. He has one mode: throw the ball deep, and you have a quarterback who doesn't have enough time to throw the ball deep. That's when Tua is in there. You have a quarterback who can't throw the ball 5 yards when Skylar Thompson's in there, and then you have an offensive line that can't give him time to even get the ball deep. And meanwhile, you have it literally is the Lamborghini parked outside of a shack right now with fucking Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Davon Ashon. And we got this genius general manager. All you need is speed. No, you don't need speed. I mean, the move, and he's been there 10 years as general manager, 20 years overall. He's got to go.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. Bobby, you have anything you want to ask Hank? Frank?
I could barely hear you, Sel. It's very hard.
Frank the Tank. First of all, Frank, huge fan, man. I'm happy that you're on here. It's good to see you, dude. But what would you like? Obviously, we're only week 3 into the season right now, so we got a long ways to go. And I agree, we need to change out Chris Grier. It's been 20 years. It's been, he's been a general. I don't know what the official year we became GM, but it hasn't been great. Mike McDaniel, I agree with you. The offense has been exposed. What would you do immediately right now if you were running the team, right? What would you do right now to try to fix this season? Is there an immediate fix?
Step 1, fire Chris Grier.
There you go.
Step 2, I'd evaluate. I make sure that Tua sees this neurologist. I'd give maybe a chance to sign somebody. Maybe see if there's offensive lineman you could acquire or a backup quarterback. And if this isn't fixed in 2-3 weeks, it's time to blow it up. Tyreek Hill, second, third round picks at the worst, maybe a first round pick. You blow it up, and you blow it up with a whole new coaching staff, whole new GM, everything new. You get rid of everybody, and they're different, and you get rid of that cursed logo.
Bring back the old one. We haven't talked the Tua Tagovailoa, the outlook on him. It's pretty obvious now that regardless when he comes back or if he comes back or even how well he plays this year, you're going to have to look at another quarterback to get in the pipeline here to develop because you can't rely on him. How would you handle the Tua Tagovailoa situation, maybe even going into next year?
Well, first off, you make sure you draft a quarterback. I mean, not Skylar Thompson. The Dolphins are really in a position where they're worse off now than they were since 2007.
And that's what's crazy. We were just talking about that, Frank, about the Dolphins, and they went into this season with this offensive line, telling everybody, "Hey, you're more worried about this offensive line than we are." Him and McDaniel were laughing about it. Obviously, offensive line proved to be an issue again. They go into this season knowing Tua's history, going based off, he lasted the whole year last year, but we all know Tua's history. They go in with
Yeah, well, you
Skylar
had Robert
Thompson.
Hunt last year.
Robert Hunt and now he left. You go into this season with Skylar Thompson and Mike White. They cut Mike White. They bring in Tim Boyle. Those were your backup quarterbacks. You had teams like the Vikings. They signed Sam Darnold. You got the Mac Jones in Jacksonville. It's ridiculous.
Simple signings. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong. How many of the Dolphins draft picks over the last couple of years didn't even make the out of training camp?
Yeah. Well, this year looks like we drafted for 2025. Patrick Paul next year. Chop Robinson, even though he's playing, and he is playing well. Chop has some good reps. But that's one thing I didn't like about this draft is that everything, Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert replacement for next year. I was hoping they get a little bit more for this year, and that was kind of my gripe with Chris Grier and this draft that we just passed.
The Dolphins draft should have been was offensive line.
Yeah, it's the arrogance that they have, and I'm not just saying Chris Grier. It's Mike McDaniel. Like Bobby said earlier on the show, when they say we, they're talking McDaniel and Grier. They're hand in hand here. They're assuming their offensive line can play based on a system with a quarterback who suffers not just injuries, concussions, but traumatic injuries. And they're surprised. And now you see what they put on the field yesterday. Teams are winning with backup quarterbacks. Okay? We shouldn't look like the Carolina Panthers, without a starting quarterback. This is bigger.
4 teams won yesterday with backup quarterbacks. 4 teams.
This is bigger than Tua Tagovailoa. I agree with Bobby when he said at the top of the show, with or without Tua, I don't think we win that game in Seattle. Because let's not forget how he looked at Buffalo the week before, Frank.
They are one punch out away. A Travis Etienne fumble through the back of the end zone, away from being 0-3.
It's true.
If he doesn't fumble there, the score's 24-7. They got blown out by the Bills. They got blown out by the Seahawks, and that punch out, and it followed by the one play that Tyreek Hill's made this year. The one play.
He did not play well. Yeah. He dropped that easy screen pass, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. And there was a couple things when I was watching the game, I was writing down. It's like McDaniel. I've heard this before, and I'm starting to agree. He's a play designer. I'm not even sure if he's a really good play caller.
He has to give up play calling.
And what they're using is to run and shoot. And he can't adjust to it. Everyone's dropping the safeties back, and that eliminates the Dolphins' speed.
Yeah. And it's like there was one play, A-Chain ran for like 7 yards up the middle. He was getting rhythm. Next play, it's a toss to the outside.
Yeah, the toss to the outside. How many times did he do that damn play?
I was like, what do you...
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Alec Gingold make the Pro Bowl last year?
Yes. Yeah, I mean...
How about when it's 2nd and 1, you hand it to your power back, get the 1 yard, and then you got a fresh set of downs? But no, we have to do this cute pitch back, lose 5 yards. But of course, then we have holding, and we lose another 10 yards. We had... How many times have we seen... illegal formation, offsides, the whole discipline, and my favorite part yesterday was the Seahawks went right down the field, punched us in the nose, and then the Dolphins trying to respond, 3rd and 1, stopped, decided to try a 57-yard field goal.
Oh, in fairness to them, I don't think they do that if Tua was in the game, but to me, it was almost like he was trying to copy what the Seahawks did.
No. I'm not even upset that they didn't punt it. Go for it. A 57-yard field goal. There's much more chance that they're going to make it on 4th and 1 than a 57-yard field goal.
I agree with that, Clown Prince. My brother's in the house. Welcome everybody in the chat. We are joined by Frank.
Yeah. Like I said, under point, the step one is the GM's got to go, and then you bring in a GM, and if he wants to keep McDaniel, fine. If he wants to fire McDaniel, see ya.
Yeah, finally, let's do it in lockstep instead of everything half-assed. One, let's fire a GM and keep the coach, or fire the coach, keep the GM. Again, we never really cleaned out.
I agree though with Frank. You know, if the first things first, if you're going to decide to clean house, before you clean house, fire the general manager. Let him decide if he's going to roll with Mike McDaniel or get his own coach.
The new GM decides everything. We're going to give the keys to a new GM. The new GM's going to decide everything.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
100% agree with that.
You know, I don't know if you guys have ever been in New York City.
One time.
Me never.
How long ago were you in New York City?
Oh my goodness, probably when I was 16, man. I'd say about
over the last 20 years. There have been these buildings that have gone up. They look like toothpicks. They're like 90-story just residential towers being built around Central Park. They're ugly. They're eyesores. You got this thing called the Edge, which is a 100-story building on the old Hudson rail yards, next to something called the Vessel, where people were jumping off of. It's like Leviathan that you just climb up, and you could like view different parts of the Hudson. Like it has no use. The real estate developer that's putting up all these ugly buildings, Stephen Ross.
No.
I was trying to see where that was
Did
going.
Not expect it to go there.
Yeah.
I don't think the eyesore is Mike McDaniel on the play call. Stephen Ross is the one responsible.
So Stephen Ross loves ugly. He loves things that suck.
There you go.
I mean, look, he got rid of that beautiful logo for what is that? It literally looks like it's a flaccid dolphin or Aquafresh.
Yeah,
you choose.
It doesn't look like a sports logo. It looks like a business logo. That's what it looks like, a business logo. It doesn't look like a sports logo.
Let's bring the old one back, man.
I'd
never do that.
The one from the 2000s or the 90s.
Yeah, that one.
That's the one.
Stephen Ross is actually annoyed that they have to wear the throwback every now and then. He's annoyed by the throwback.
That's crazy.
Hey, did you guys see Dan Marino's when they caught him on camera yesterday?
Oh, Marino was sick of it.
Marino
left, dude. He was done. He was disgusted over that. Everybody was. Should have been too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done with Chris Grier. Chris Grier has been there. He hired Adam Gase. He hired Brian Flores. Now he hired Mike McDaniel. That's 3 coaches. Usually a GM who can't turn around and doesn't get more than 2 coaches. He's had 3. He better not get a 4th.
No, I agree.
And if he sticks around, are we going to let him draft another quarterback? And if they do, I'm telling you right now, like I told Bobby before, I'll see you in 2030. Because if they let him pick another quarterback, we're going to go to mediocrity.
Do you know what? Before he became the GM, he was the assistant GM. He was head of scouting. He was head of college recruiting, like the college picking players. So he basically was like the loudest voice in the draft room. So we're talking 20 years of Dolphin futility, and he's been there, a key member of that the whole time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't want to take too much more of your time, Hank. I thank you, man, for coming. Frank, I thank you for coming on.
Well, anytime. I'm sorry I was a little late joining this time.
No, it's okay.
Next time I'll try to remember.
Perfect, man. You want to plug? Hey, let everybody know where they can follow you and everything you got going on at Barstool.
Just follow me everywhere. Frank Walks. I got one coming up very soon with Bobby Valentine. I got probably in October. I did walks with Ingold and Poyer. So stay tuned for those.
Nice. Awesome.
And just follow my YouTube, follow my Rumble channel, and follow me on Twitter, NJTank99.
All right, man.
Awesome.
Frank, thanks so much, man. We'll definitely have you on again. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the Mets game. How the Mets doing?
They got a 2-game lead, and they're going to Atlanta. So if they could win 2 out of 3, they'll be a playoff team.
All
There
right.
you go.
Enjoy the game, man. Thanks for joining us, Frank.
All right,
Appreciate you,
talk to
Frank.
you later.
That's awesome, man.
Oh,
Frank
man,
the Tank. Pretty cool to have him on. Nice of him to come in.
That was neat, huh? He brings
That
the
was-
energy up quick, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. That was pretty cool.
All right, I guess, I mean, should we end it on this, Bobby? I mean, where do we go from there, right?
No, man, I think it was good, dude. That's perfect, man. It was awesome that he was able to hop on and, pretty cool.
And we agree with the Grier. And I think McDaniel's job's safe. I think Grier. I just don't think he's going anywhere, man. I don't know why.
No, look, obviously, like, people are gonna. The good thing, I don't want to say the good thing, because obviously, it's not like I'm wishing for Miami to fail. So these, no. If they won out or they win and they go to, I'll be happy. All is well in the world. But he's right. They're really almost 1 or 2 plays away from being 0-3 on the season, which is ridiculous. No matter who's in and out of this roster, because the season just started. You knew you were going into the season with this roster. You're supposed to put the best foot forward while the season started. You decided, hey, we're good. You decided Skylar Thompson was good enough to be your backup. It's proved to be a mistake. It's proved that you've been wrong. So, the whole, but Tua's out doesn't matter. You should have been, if this was like mid-season, towards the end of the season, it's like, okay, damn, then, man, we were doing good. The season, and now everything kind of fell out. This is the beginning of the season. And we're going to be, and if we go 1-3 and we lose against the 0-3 Tennessee Titans, who are not a good 0-3, they're a bad 0-3 football team. They're a bad football team. If you lose on Monday Night Football in front of prime time, you go lose against the 0-3 Tennessee Titans. I don't give I don't care who's quarterback. Then, the preference would be heads are going to roll, but let's be realistic. Stephen Ross is not somebody who really does that right away. But what I think that could happen, that should probably happen, especially since play calling has been a joke, is take McDaniel's play calling away. Say, hey, Mike, you tried. I know you said before that you were to keep it until you think you had to let it go. Now's the time to let it go. And I wouldn't give it to Frank Smith. I give it to Darrell Bevel. Say, hey, man, let's see how we do with Mike now, because Mike needs to be a head coach. You're the head coach. You're not the OC. But focus on being a head coach.
Bobby, if you take the play call, isn't that what he's here for?
He's here to be the head coach, man.
But what you think he's good at that leading? I'm not too sure.
That's his job. That's his job.
But that's the point. I'm not sure if he does that very well. And that's what
I know, but that's what you need to see, because you got to go, okay, man, if obviously you're not doing well at all as a play caller, you're again, and I know Evan would go on a tear right now for 45 minutes, so I'm not going to do that. But he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposedly this football genius, offensive genius. He's not. Frank is right. Defenses have figured him out. You have it in your header. McDaniel exposed. He is. So what you do now is say, okay, Mike, you know what? We all get blinded by the 70-point win on the Denver Broncos last season. That really inflated the statistics. The reality is Miami has not done anything close to that in a very long time, despite being the number 1 offense in football last year by statistics. Since then, Miami's been trash on offense. They haven't scored enough points. God dang, they haven't even got over 20 points this season. It's crazy. So for me, obviously, if they lose on Monday, oh my God, roll heads. Sure. But realistically, best foot forward is saying, Mike, I want to see how you do as a head coach, because if your team can't do this as a whole and you can't lead us out of this, you can't focus on the offense and leading this football team. You need to focus on one or the other. And guess what? If you want to be an OC, you want to run an offense, go be an offensive coordinator somewhere else. But you're the head coach here. Your job is to lead. And despite what Bobby or Evan or George or Frank or whomever believes it, your job is to lead. You failed so far. You're very good at being a friend. You're not good leading right now. You're down in the dumps. Your back is against the wall, and it's just the season just freaking started. So for me, right now, like a quick fix, the Tennessee game messes up. You look like a dud again. You score 3 points against Tennessee. You can't score 20 against Tennessee's defense. Time to let go of the play calling. That's the first step to out the door. Take away this responsibility, focus on being a head coach, and you better hope it works. Give it to Darrell Bevel. Let him run the offense. Let's see if anything changes. But that's the first domino I think that needs to fall. I know that we all want other things. Grier, McDaniel. It's week 3. So for me, seeing that the offense is an egg right now, take away the play calling. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I agree with the point is let him design the plays, right? Like I said, I just don't think
he can still be involved.
Yeah. I just don't think he has a good rhythm when Tua's out. And I'm going to ask you this question, and we can end the show on this question if you want. Is Mike McDaniel in the organization, was their focus too much on proving right that Tua's the guy, than building a roster that can be a consistent winner, especially in the end of the year? Because, Bobby, I will say this, and I mentioned this the first time we talked. This reminds me of the Florida Panthers when they changed their roster because, yes, they led the league in scoring and they led the league in points. They got booted in the playoffs. They realized it didn't work. They have to change the style of play, and maybe that means Tua doesn't lead the league in passing or Tyreek doesn't have 1,800 yards, but it has to change. And I wonder, okay, and this is a question I thought to myself, was their emphasis, we're right, Tua is the guy. We proved it. Let's move on now, okay? Let's take a step back because I think it almost seems like that's more important than winning in the end. Just a thought out there. Do you agree with that? Or?
Yeah. So, again, absolutely. McDaniel, no one else was interviewing Mike McDaniel for head coach. Not one other team interviewed him for head coach. Brian Flores requested to interview him for offensive coordinator the season before, but was rejected by Kyle Shanahan, who was blocked. No one else interviewed Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel was hired because he's probably one of the only coaches who said, I could definitely coach Tua. I can make Tua a great quarterback in this league. And kudos to him. The first 8 weeks of the season, he did the 2 years, right? And then it just falls off at the wheels. But yeah, he, after years with Flores and trying to get Brady and then not being really truly happy with having to, and then trying to tease get Deshaun Watson, after they said, okay, we're going to fire Flores and we're going to show, no, it wasn't us that wanted to get rid of Tua. It was Flores. So what are they going to do? Let's hire a guy who's going to be committed to trying to fix Tua. Let's bring in McDaniel. And what can we do to get Tua to be the best he can be? Go get Tyreek Hill. Go build up this offense. Let's go ahead and plug Terran Armstead, even though he's a left tackle. And Tua's blindside is right tackle, and Armstead can't last a season or 5 games. It's like you gave all this money. It's so backwards. So to answer your question, yes, because they're making up for the first couple of years of Tua. They should have done this the first couple of years of Tua. Is that when you drafted him, you go, okay, we got to give him his best coordinator. We got to get him good weapons. So that way we give this guy, the kid, the benefit of the doubt and give him his best thing. So we know what we have with him. Except for the first 2 years, whether you like to or not, they were basically sabotaging him. And now they're spending these next 3 years saying, okay, how can we make this up? Let's make him feel good. Let's give him this. Let's give him that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Everybody's, again, they just talked about, somebody posted, I don't know if it was Barry Jackson. I don't want to put words in anybody, but they were saying that Miami didn't get another quarterback. It was one of the insider or the commentators, that Miami didn't get a backup quarterback of quality because they didn't want any distractions with the contract situation. And they, it's like, are you freaking serious? So yeah, I'm sorry. Went longer than I should. Long story short, yes, they are. They're catering.
And it comes back to the same guy who hired that coach, who drafted that quarterback, and who hired that coach before that. You should have known that Brian Flores was not the guy for a rebuild. Okay? I mean, just coming from New England alone, again, Chris Grier gets to fix his mistake. It's too early. The book's too early on McDaniel. But for me, I agree with Frank. And I know you kind of agree. The book is closed shut for me on Chris Grier. His time is up, Bobby.
Well, and again, I'll say this, and yeah, I'm with you. In a perfect world, it's like, look, I know McDaniel's only 3 years in, and I'm not giving the excuse of rookie coach. He's not. He's 3 years in, and he has a lot to do with this roster as much as Grier right now. That's why it's imperfect. He's as much responsible. But you would say, hey, let the GM decide, which we talked about. Yeah, the new GM would be able to decide if McDaniel's coach. But the fact of the matter is, truth be told, that if let's say I'm in Stephen Ross's shoes, I'm firing Grier and I'm firing McDaniel. Clean house. Yeah. Clean house. Clean house, and let the new GM or VP of football operations, whomever that may be, decide it all. Start fresh up so everyone else is on the same page. They move forward with a clean slate. They're not afraid to get an offensive line together. I mean, the Chargers drafted Joe Alt. I mean, that dude's playing amazing in freaking LA. It's crazy. Yeah, Miami, what did they do? Oh, they decided to go get, it's, I don't know. Anyway.
Chop, yeah. I mean,
yeah, I like Chop.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And look, Herbert's stats are down, but they're winning, right?
So that's the diff. Yeah, that's important, right? I don't give a damn about stats. Oh, well, look at his stats compared to it. What's the win look like? What's the win column look like? They got Jim Harbaugh. I've been banging a table for a veteran coach for a long time. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not over it yet. I may be on Wednesday.
Either am I. And we had 37 people watching on X, on Twitter, whatever you call it. Guys, please come over, like and subscribe to the channel. Again, support the channel so we can continuously bring you this great content. Bobby, I think we'll end it there, brother. Man, thanks so much for coming on. Plug your stuff. What shows you got coming up?
Hey, man. Yeah, no, again, first off, George, thank you for having me. I'm here for you, brother. You need me to do my best to hop on and help you out as much as I could. You catch me on FTSN, the Finstock Sports Network. We got amazing content just like here on Finn's Faithful Pod, especially Dolphins content. All week we got a lot of cool Dolphins stuff coming on, and talking about just this. Is the season over? Is the Dolphins season on a brink of disaster? The hell's going on with Miami? Should McDaniel give up his play calling? We're going to talk about that on Saturday. You got the game recap tomorrow with Steve Malloy on Real Talk Rants. Miami Hurricanes content. If you guys are a Hurricanes fan, 4-0 on the season, Heisman Trophy candidate, and Cam Ward. I mean,
future Dolphins quarterback.
Yeah, the Hurricanes are lighting up, and we got great content with the Hurricanes with the Caneswear podcast and the Caneswear Daily podcast. Those guys are killing it. Happy to have them on board. Professional wrestling. You love wrestling. We got No Holds Barred and Real Talk Wrestling. I'm No Holds Barred on Saturday nights. It's Saturday in the afternoon, I got Finn's Talk. Then Saturday night, I got No Holds Barred. We got fantasy football. We got everything, dude. So, again, guys, if you're new tuning in and you want to see some great sports content, we're growing. It's exciting. Check out Finn's Talk Sports Network on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe button and pop on in the comments, man. We love having people on and talking football and talking sports. It's fun. But you definitely like and subscribe to the channel you're on.
Yeah, no. And his too, they have, when I tell you they have great content, they have great content. And he just pumps out every day. There's something going on over there. And he's been a friend of the program and helped me out a bunch. So, Bobby, man, thanks for coming on. Let's hope we get a victory against the Titans Monday night. Let's not have deja vu happen again. All right.
Amen.
All right, guys. As always, guys, stay Fins faithful. We are out.
Peace.